dense black smoke rising from bomb impacts in the valley beneath them. 12 Sky Raiders climbed swiftly into a clear sky. As the smoke cleared, 5 gunships followed them down into the valley, bold orange traces quickly enveloping the helicopters from the surrounding hills. It was the morning of April 27, 1964, and the costliest air assault of the Vietnam War so far was about to take place. This channel's mission is to challenge the Vietnam orthodoxy through reference to primary sources. Much of what you know about the Vietnam War is either incomplete or false. Please consider supporting this channel and its mission through Patreon. The link is in the description. Nestled in the Khe Nuoc Lah Valley against the Annamite Mountains, and deep in the shadow of the Ngoc Linh Peak, known as the Roof of Southern Vietnam, the area around Do Sao village was an impenetrable Viet Cong sanctuary, a sanctuary that had already cost the South Vietnamese army an entire battalion in an earlier assault. The valley stood at the junction of Con Tum, Quan Tin and Quan Nai provinces, providing an infiltration route from Laos and the Ho Chi Minh Trail into central South Vietnam. The sanctuary also contained ammunition and food caches, rest areas and field hospitals. Do Sao was located on the northern border of II Corps. II Corps commander General Gia Cao Chi ordered his chief of staff Colonel Nguyen Van Yu to plan the Do Sao campaign, with the assistance of Colonel Lu Lan. Operation Quyet Thang or Sure Wind 202 would be a multi-battalion heliborne offensive into the Do Sao area, and covering 60 square kilometers, the operation would require all the transport helicopters in the 1st and 2nd Corps areas. On April 26, 1964, Colonel Robert Merchant, Shoe Fly Commander, and Lieutenant Colonels John Lavoie and George Brigham, the Task Element Operations Officers, flew to Quan Nai and Pleiku to participate in final planning. The forward command post would be established at Quan Nai Airport, with the assaulting force divided into 2 groups. Group A with 3 ARVN Ranger battalions, commanded by Major Son Tuong, and Group B, composed of units from 50th Regiment of the ARVN 25th Division, commanded by Major Phan Chuong Ching. Both groups would be reinforced with the 5th Airborne Battalion, led by Captain No Quan Truong. Responding to a request for help with transportation, US Marine Corps Commander Zanang in 1st Corps provided Marine Medium Helicopter Squadron 364. The US Army 52nd Aviation Battalion also provided 2 transport companies, the 117th Aviation Company based at Quy Nhon and the 119th at Pleiku, with the VNAF providing 2 UH-34s. 5 US Army UH-1B gunships would escort the Marine and VNAF UH-34s to and from the landing zone, and VNAF A-1H Sky Raiders would cover troop insertion. 2 landing zones were designated. The gunships would escort the Marine and VNAF UH-34s, transporting a 420-man ARVN battalion from Quan Nai, 30 miles due west, to Landing Zone Bravo, and the US Army helicopter companies would transport 960 men from 2 ARVN battalions from Si Lang, an outpost 24 miles southwest of Quan Nai, to a second landing zone 8 miles west-southwest of Bravo. Because of the distance between the 2 designated landing zones, and because 2 different units would be conducting the troop lifts, the assaults would be treated as separate operations. The operation was planned to begin on April 27th, with the first assaults scheduled to land at 09:30. On the morning of April 27th, 12 of the 20 Sky Raiders assigned to Bravo conducted preparatory strikes on and around the landing zone. 4 more were preparing to orbit the area after the helicopter landing began, while the remaining 4 were on airstrip alert at Zanang. The landing area was quite rugged, dominated by high ground on 3 sides, with numerous caves in the cliff faces, the open side facing west. One area was large enough to land the UH-34s, and as the prevailing wind was from the south, to land into the wind the transport helicopters would approach the landing zone from the north. A USAF Bird Dog orbited above 2,500 feet with an FAC. Also orbiting above 5,000 feet was a CIA Helio Courier stall aircraft, acting as an airborne air support operations centre, with Colonel Merchant and an Army Colonel, possibly the senior advisor for 1st Corps. As the airstrike began, the first ARVN heli teams boarded the 19 Marine and 2 VNAF helicopters at Khe Nuoc. The 5 UH-1B gunships then escorted the UH-34s to the landing zone. As the Sky Raiders cleared the LZ, the UH-1Bs and UH-34s arrived overhead. The gunships, led by Captain Jack Woody Woodmansee, began conducting a pre-landing reconnaissance. Diving low level in an inverted V formation, tactical procedure called for the door gunners to throw smoke to indicate the direction of any incoming fire, but as tracers rose to meet them on both sides of the valley, each of the 4 Dragon guns were tossing smoke from both sides of their aircraft. The gunships started working all around the landing zone with rockets and machine guns. Woodmansee was engaged by a 50 cal from the south as he made a west to east pass, the tracers passing 10 feet below his helicopter, until another gunship poured rockets and machine gun fire into the VC position. Then passing close to a hill to the south, a second machine gun position surprised Woodmansee at point blank range. One of the door gunners quickly opened fire with his M14, putting rounds directly into the position, causing the fire to stop. However, they could not silence the VC weapons, and after expending their ordnance, Colonel Merchant ordered the gunships and transports back to Khe Nuoc to refuel and rearm. With the helicopters en route back to Khe Nuoc, the ASOC requested help suppressing the machine gun positions from the on-call Sky Raiders. Bold orange tracers again rose from the valley as the Sky Raiders poured their ordnance into the Viet Cong positions. 50 cal fire from the south caught one of the attacking aircraft, and the pilot turned his smoking aircraft east towards Khe Nuoc. Major John R. Braddon, the squadron's maintenance officer, was piloting one of the 2 trail UH-34s, acting in the search and rescue role. Braddon followed the Sky Raider's smoke trail and found the crashed aircraft on an unpaved Special Forces airstrip, less than a mile from Khe Nuoc. Unable to lower the landing gear, the pilot, Lieutenant Quyet Thang, put the aircraft down gear up, the impact thrusting his face into the instrument panel, cutting him and breaking his sunglasses. Braddon then flew Pham to Khe Nuoc before returning to Do Sa. The Sky Raiders continued their strikes until 12:25, and as the airstrikes ended, Colonel Merchant ordered the first wave of transport helicopters to land the ARVN assault force. Lieutenant Colonel Lavoie directed Woodmansee and the gunships to suppress the landing zone, just ahead of his approaching 1st Division of UH-34s. The gunships raked the area, again drawing fire, but this time the transport pilots pressed on to the landing zone. The door gunners of the lead UH-34s added to the storm as they poured machine gun fire into the surrounding jungle, ARVN soldiers jumping from them as they touched down, quickly charging into cover. Several helicopters in the first wave sustained damage from Viet Cong automatic weapons. One fell victim to a machine gun in a horseshoe position on the north wood line and crashed in the landing zone, its uninjured crew picked up by the designated search and rescue helicopter piloted by Major Braddon. Another made an emergency landing at Sea Lang. Major Albert N. Allen led the 4th Division of the first wave into the landing zone. His helicopter and a helicopter of Captain Cunningham in the 3rd Division ahead of him were riddled with bullets, and of several hits on the left side of the aircraft, one round knocked out the main servo, and hydraulic fluid spilled through the aircraft. The lift resumed at 13:55, delayed while the Sky Raiders again attempted to drive the communists from their positions, but once more several helicopters were damaged by 50 cal fire. The first wave of ARVNs had hurried to the ridgeline to the north of the landing zone without providing security, and the Viet Cong had taken advantage of this to move a machine gun down to the northern perimeter of the landing zone. A UH-34 lost its tail rotor controls, severed by a 50 cal round, and spinning sharply as it lifted off, it crashed near the centre of the landing zone. The uninjured crew were also extracted by Braddon's rescue helicopter, Major Allen positioning his gunship between Braddon and the horseshoe machine gun position, firing rockets into the trees to create airbursts, and hosing the area with fire. The ARVN soldiers leapt from the UH-34s and fanned out from the landing zone, forcing the VC deeper into the jungle. The landing then continued at a faster pace, and the 4th and final assault lift that day was executed at 17:30, with 357 of the 420 ARVN soldiers transported into Bravo. During the first day of the operation, 15 of the 19 Marine UH-34s had been damaged, and only 11 Marine and VNAF helicopters remained airworthy. Both downed helicopters were later assessed by an inspection team who judged them to be beyond repair and destroyed the helicopters in place. The heliborne assault phase was completed the next morning. 14 Marine UH-34s, some repaired overnight, lifted the remainder of the ARVN battalion into the landing zone, escorted by 4 gunships. By this time, enemy action in the surrounding hills had been subdued, and only 1 helicopter sustained minor damage. However, while approaching Quyet Thang, 1 UH-34 was caught in a rotor wash of other landing helicopters and crashed in an adjacent irrigation canal, rolling over and sinking. The helicopter was lost, but the crew managed to climb from the wreck. Having completed its tasks, HMM 364 then proceeded to Sea Lang to assist the Army aviation companies in completing their assault lift. ARVN II Corps had anticipated that the Marine helicopters would not be required after the initial assault, but it quickly became apparent that helicopter requirements for the operation would exceed available assets in II Corps, and therefore the American command in Saigon directed the task element to provide support for the duration of the operation. The 117th and 199th Aviation Companies approached the second landing zone strung out in a line a mile long. The landing zone was located in a very narrow valley and was small, taking only 2 Hueys at a time. Landing under constant automatic weapons fire from the ridgelines on both sides of the valley, each Huey made 7 landings, climbing high and fast as soon as the ARVN troops left their aircraft, turning to return for more soldiers at Sea Lang. A tragic accident occurred when gunships arrived after the first transports, mistakenly firing upon the ARVN soldiers already on the landing zone. On April 29th, 2 days after the start of the operation, a Ranger unit had destroyed many Viet Cong bases and had seized a 30 cal medium machine gun, an FM/29 light machine gun, 11 AR-15 rifles, 6 submachine guns, and 144 individual weapons. The Rangers also captured 60 kilos of TNT, 1,000 detonators, and a large amount of grenades, mines, ammunition, documents, and 5 tons of rice. When Operation Quyet Thang 202 ended on May 27th, a Viet Cong communications network of 5 stations, one of which was used to communicate with North Vietnam, the others linking to provisional Viet Cong units, had been destroyed. The campaign had lasted 1 month. The ARVN had lost 23 killed and 87 wounded, and 4 helicopters and 2 Sky Raiders were lost, while the Viet Cong had 62 killed and 17 captured. The VC also lost 2 50 cal heavy machine guns, 1 30 cal medium machine gun, individual weapons, and a large quantity of grenades, mines, explosives, engineer equipment, medicine and documents. 185 structures, 17 tons of food, and 292 acres of crops were also destroyed by the ARVN. For his role in performing 2 rescues, Major Braddon was awarded the Silver Star, and Captain Woodmansey the Air Medal with V device, the V device distinguishing the award for valour in combat. The VNAF Sky Raider pilot, Lieutenant Hoa Van Pham, continued to fight until the end of the war in 1975. 1 week before Saigon fell, he had his wife and 4 children flown to safety in the United States. Pham was later captured and sentenced to 12 years hard labour in North Vietnam. In 1987 he was freed, and 5 years later the communist government allowed him to rejoin his family in California.